Every house has a mirror, but not every mirror gives back the reflection we expect. This case is about reflections that refuse to obey, about a face that should not be there, or perhaps it always was. This is Evan Blackwood, and this is Whispers Unseen. Tonight, I bring you the file known as The Mirror. Susan repeated her routine every night before bed, washing her face, brushing her teeth, staring at the mirror. It was mechanical, almost comforting, until that night. When she stopped brushing, her reflection took a few seconds longer to stop. She blinked hard, incredulous, leaned closer, searching for a flaw in her own vision. It's just exhaustion, she thought, but deep inside, something twisted in her stomach, as if the mirror itself had breathed a moment after she did. She tried to convince herself a mistake, an optical illusion. She turned on the bedroom fan just to break the silence, but even over the hum, she swore he heard a faint scrape, like nails gently dragging across the other side of the glass. But that night, in bed, each time she closed her eyes, she could still see her reflection delayed, like something thinking before deciding how to imitate her. The next day, her reflection smiled before she did. It wasn't an ordinary smile. It was too wide. Skin stretched beyond what was human. And for the first time, Susan feared the bedroom. Because the reflection no longer obeyed her, she pulled away from the mirror, drew the shower curtain across it, but the glass remained, beating like an open eye behind it. That night, she tried not to step into the bathroom. Susan tried to distract herself. She cooked dinner, turned on the TV, called a friend just to hear another voice. But even then, she caught glimpses, a shadow behind her in the screen's reflection, a delayed movement in the darkened window. She switched on every light in the house, but in her mind the mirror waited, and every shadow in the hallway seemed to drag her back to it. One night, Susan heard thuds from the bathroom. They were rhythmic, hollow. She approached, trembling, and saw her reflection on the other side, staring straight back at her. Its lips moved silently. "Let me in. Let me in." Susan backed away, searching for her phone. But then the ringtone sounded. It was coming from inside the bedroom. When she looked back at the mirror, she saw something far worse. Her reflection was gone. The glass was empty. With shaking hands, she lifted her arm, waving slowly in front of the mirror. Nothing. Only the reflection of her bathroom. Almost hypnotized, she touched the glass with her fingertips, cold, lifeless, and in that instant a laugh echoed behind her. She turned her head toward the sound. But behind her there was no one. When her eyes returned to the mirror, her image crouched behind the bathroom door. Not in front of her, but behind her, hiding, waiting, watching, and on its lips that impossible smile stretched from ear to ear. The lights flickered, and the world collapsed into darkness. At dawn, Susan stepped out of the bathroom. Her steps were slow, mechanical, but her eyes were no longer hers. Too fixed, too still. The reflection had crossed, and the real Susan is still there, beating against the glass, scratching with bloody nails, waiting for someone else to stare too long. They say mirrors never lie. But what if the face they return isn't yours? This was another file from Whispers Unseen. Thank you for listening. And remember, next time you stare into a mirror, make sure your reflection stares back. Subscribe if you dare.